Valyrian steel. Strong, sharp, and light. Forged in the Valyrian freehold with spells and dragon flame, until the secrets of Valyria were destroyed during the Doom. Valyrian steel is extremely rare and valuable, and only the master smiths of Qohor know how to rework the steel. One maester once travelled to this free city, and claimed that the smiths sacrificed slaves as part of their twisted process. There are only a few thousand Valyrian steel swords in the world, and just 227 in Westeros. We only know of a handful, most of them family heirlooms and symbols of inheritance. In this video, we'll explore all known Valyrian steel weapons and items, starting in the north of Westeros, before working our way down south and even over to Essos. Let's begin with Ice, the massive ceremonial greatsword of House Stark. As wide as a man's hand and taller than a teenage Robb Stark. The Starks once wielded a weapon called Ice thousands of years in the past, and when they later claimed a Valyrian steel sword for themselves, they named it after this legendary blade of yore. Due to its immense size, it is mostly used for executions. Lord Walton Stark once executed Sir Oliver Bracken, a former Kingsguard turned Night's Watchman who rebelled against his own black brothers. Generations later, Lord Eddard Stark used the blade to execute Jared, a Night's Watch deserter who claimed to be fleeing others beyond the wall. Ned even uses the blade to end the life of Lady, Sansa's pet direwolf, on the orders of King Robert Baratheon. After Ned is accused of treason and arrested in King's Landing, Sir Ilyn Payne, the King's Justice, takes Ice for his own. In an act of cruel irony, the executioner uses the blade to behead its previous owner. Sir Ilyn continues to wield the ceremonial greatsword, preparing himself to mercy kill Sansa Stark and the ladies of the court, in case Stannis Baratheon's army breaks into the Red Keep. He later uses it to behead a Florent bastard who insults King Joffrey. Tywin Lannister eventually sends the blade to the Qohoric Master Armourer, Tobo Mott, who reforges the immense weapon into two longswords. Tywin wants the metal to be as red as the Lannister sigil, but the dye is absorbed by the Valyrian steel, causing dark red ripples to run along the blade. Both swords are given lion head pommels. The shorter of the two is gifted to King Joffrey as a wedding present, to replace his existing sword, Heart Eater. One guest shouts out a suitably edgy name for a suitably edgy boy, Widow's Wail, and Joffrey takes it. The most action it sees is destroying a history book before its owner is poisoned, and the sword is held in storage until King Tommen is old enough to wield it. The second of the two swords is granted to the one-handed Sir Jaime Lannister, who believes the gift to be some sort of insult from his father. The knight instead hands it to Lady Brienne of Tarth, tasking her with finding the missing Sansa Stark and bringing her to safety. He asks her to name the sword Oathkeeper. Thus, Lady Brienne sets out on her quest, bearing Stark steel to find a Stark maiden of 3 and 10 with auburn hair. Oathkeeper proves useful in battle. Brienne uses it to slay the bloody mummers Pig and Timian, and later the grotesque sadist Rorge, who is wearing the Hound's armour. When she is captured by the Brotherhood without banners, the twisted Lady Stoneheart calls the sword Oathbreaker, and demands that Brienne uses it to slay Sir Jaime. Whether Brienne will do such a thing remains to be seen. The second Valyrian steel blade in the north is Longclaw, the ancestral bastard sword of House Mormont of Bear Isle, boasting a bear head pommel. When Lord Jeor Mormont joined the Night's Watch, he granted Longclaw to his son Ser Jorah. Due to Jorah's demanding wife and dwindling coffers, he resorted to selling captured poachers into slavery. He fled into exile for this crime, but ashamedly left the sword behind. The new Lady Mage Mormont returned Longclaw to her brother, Lord Commander Jeor. After 500 years in Mormont hands, the bastard sword is given to a bastard boy. A fight with the White sets the Lord Commander's tower ablaze, melting the bear-head pommel. Jeor orders Spotted Pate and Halder to carve a new moonstone pommel in the shape of an albino wolf's head, and then the castle blacksmith, Dononoy, repairs the weapon. The Lord Commander then grants Longclaw to Jon Snow. It serves him well. He wields it while fighting wildlings in the Frostfangs and during the attack on Castle Black, and uses it to behead Janos Slynt for disobedience. There is one more account of a Valyrian steel blade in the Night's Watch. Todder claims that a black brother once used a Valyrian steel razor to cut his beard, and instead sliced off his own head. This probably isn't true. We don't know of any weapons in the Riverlands, but to the east in the Vale, the ancient House Royce once bore the sword Lamentation. We know little about it, but considering the Royces inscribed their bronze armour with runic symbols, perhaps they did the same for the pommel and grip of their ancestral weapon. Lamentation was lost during the Dance of the Dragons, during the riot of King's Landing. Sir Willem Royce rode into the madness of the streets, but was murdered by a commoner. The blade has been missing ever since. House Corbray, however, still holds on to their longsword, Lady Forlorn, which boasts a heart-shaped ruby in its pommel. As with Ice, there was once an ancient sword bearing the name Lady Forlorn, stolen by Robar Royce II before Sir Jaime Corbray slew the Bronze King and reclaimed it. The new Valyrian Lady Forlorn was known to be wielded by Lord Carl Corbray, who cut down Sir Davos Darklyn during the battle beneath the God's Eye. At some point it passed to Sir Corwin Corbray, one of Aegon III's regents, who was shot by a runestone crossbowman after drawing Lady Forlorn against Lord Gunthor Royce. The sword made its way back to Heart's home and was wielded by Sir Gawain Corbray of Daeron II's Kingsguard during the First Blackfire Rebellion. At the Battle of the Redgrass Field, Sir Gawain clashed his Valyrian steel sword against Blackfire, the Valyrian steel sword and namesake of King Daemon I. Generations later, at the Battle of the Trident near the climax of Robert's Rebellion, one Lord Corbray wielded Lady Forlorn. When he was wounded, the younger of his two sons, Sir Lyn, took the sword for himself and slew the attacker. In an act of courage, or perhaps madness, Sir Lyn then led the charge against the Dornishmen and personally slew Prince Lewin Martell. Upon his death, Lord Corbray granted the blade to brave Lyn instead of his eldest son Lionel. The latest we've seen of this blade is when Lyn Corbray drew it against Littlefinger at the Eyrie, not out of genuine malice, but as part of a plot to assert himself as the dominant ringleader of anti-Baelish lords, a plot concocted by Baelish himself. Moving west now to the Iron Islands. During one of his many fierce battles, Lord Dalton Greyjoy, the Red Kraken, killed a corsair and snatched from him a Valyrian steel longsword with a moonstone pommel named Nightfall. At some point, Nightfall came into the possession of House Harlaw. It is currently wielded by Sir Harris Harlaw of Grey Garden, known as the Knight. When the Ironborn are commanded to seize the Shield Islands by their new king Euron Greyjoy, Sir Harris snatches Grey Shield. He waits outside Grimston, fighting and defeating 7 champions of House Grim with Nightfall, until the Castle Septon opens the gates. Hilmar the Cunning of House Drum once bested an armoured knight with just his wits and a cudgel, whatever that means. From the knight he claimed a Valyrian steel sword called Red Rain. Due to its name, the knight may have been a member of House Rain of the Westerlands. We see this blade wielded by Lord Dunstan Drum during the Kingsmoot, when he puts his name forward to be King of the Iron Islands. At this Kingsmoot, Euron Greyjoy puts himself forward. He brings a giant horn called Dragonbinder, banded with red gold and Valyrian steel. He claims that this hellhorn, found in the smoking ruins of Old Valyria, has the ability to bind dragons to its will. One of his crewmen, Cragorn, blows the giant horn and later dies. Euron also brings Valyrian steel daggers, and we later see him wearing a full suit of scaled black Valyrian steel armour, arcane symbols folded into the metal. Travelling south to the Westerlands, we have one great sword to explore, Brightroar. It is claimed that Lannister kings paid the price of an entire army to purchase this weapon. Alas, it is another lost blade. King Tommen Lannister II brought it with him when making the perilous expedition to Old Valyria, and neither king nor blade returned. Geryon Lannister, the youngest brother of Lord Tywin, sailed to Old Valyria himself to retrieve Brightroar, but also never returned. Southwards to the sunny, fertile reach, we have Heartsbane, the ancestral Valyrian steel greatsword of House Tarly of Hornhill. During the reign of King Aenys I, savage Sam Tarly bore this steel against the Dornish bandits of the rebel Vulture King. It has survived up until the main series, wielded by Lord Randall Tarly himself. He is tasked with rebuilding Maidenpool in the Riverlands and uses Heartsbane to behead outlaws. In Old Town there is a Valyrian steel sword, but Valyrian steel is also used in other ways. In the Citadel, a chain of Valyrian steel denotes mastery of the higher mysteries, magic and occultism and so on. The Archmaester of the higher mysteries is Marwyn the Mage, who officially wears a mask and wields a rod of Valyrian steel. These next two blades may spoil the future of House of the Dragon, so skip ahead to the next chapter if you want to avoid potential spoilers. House Hightower boasted the Valyrian steel longsword Vigilance, which was wielded by Lord Ormond Hightower during the Dance of the Dragons. He used it to knight Prince Daeron Targaryen, proclaiming him Daeron the Daring. We don't know what happened to the sword during the course of the war, but it hasn't been mentioned since. Now for the edgiest blade of all, Orphan Maker, the Valyrian steel longsword once belonging to House Roxton of the Ring. Bold John Roxton wielded Orphan Maker during the Dance of the Dragons, slaying Lord Owen Costane during the Battle on the Honeywine, and later slicing Lord Footley in two following the First Battle of Tumbleton. During the Second Battle of Tumbleton, he used the sword to murder Hugh Hammer, before Hugh's men then murdered him. Orphan Maker was later claimed by Lord Unwin Peake, which is the last we hear of it. We cannot venture eastwards to the Crownlands without mentioning the two Valyrian swords of House Targaryen, Blackfire and Dark Sister. Blackfire was wielded by Aegon the Conqueror, who used it to slay Lord Corrin Volmark in the Iron Islands and the champion of House Tolland in Dorne, who was a mad fool in disguise. Dark Sister, meanwhile, was wielded by his sister wife, Queen Visenya. Upon Aegon's death, Blackfire passed to King Aenys I, who granted it to his younger brother Maegor. When Maegor became king, he used the blade to fight against the warrior sons, behead 2 Grand Maesters, and cut out the heart of his third wife, Tyanna of the Tower. Blackfire passed to King Jaehaerys, who used it to slay Sir Boros Baratheon and Sir Braxton Beesbury, to Aegon II to enhance his legitimacy, to Daeron I, who died fighting Dornishmen with the blade, and to King Aegon IV, who gave the sword to his bastard son Daemon Waters. Daemon took the name Daemon Blackfire and wielded the sword during the First Blackfire Rebellion. Dark Sister, meanwhile, passed to Jaehaerys' son Prince Baelon the Brave, and to Baelon's son Prince Daemon Targaryen. This short section will spoil the future of Hot D, so skip to the next chapter in this video if you don't want that. Prince Daemon used Dark Sister to fight and behead Prince Kragas Drahar in the Stepstones, to slay the Braavosi noble betrothed to Laena Velaryon, and to plunge into the eye of his nephew Prince Aemond Targaryen. The sword was found deep within the God's Eye years later. Dark Sister made its way to Aegon IV's brother, Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, and later to Aegon's bastard son, Bloodraven. After Daemon Blackfire died in battle, his half-brother Bittersteel took the Blackfire blade up, cutting out one of Bloodraven's eyes in a duel before fleeing into exile. He refused to grant the blade to the next in line, Daemon II, potentially because he was gay. That's the last we hear of this sword, although there were many more Blackfire rebellions to come, as you can discover in this video. Dark Sister, meanwhile, was taken by Bloodraven to the Night's Watch and vanished with him when he ventured beyond the wall and never returned. On the topic of Targaryens, Aegon the Conqueror's crown was a circlet of Valyrian steel, studded with square-cut rubies. It passed to Maegor the Cruel, Aegon II, and Daeron I, whose death in Dawn saw the crown lost forever. On Claw Isle, House Celtgar boasts the only known Valyrian steel axe. We know nothing about it, but it's cool. In King's Landing, Littlefinger owns a dagger of Valyrian steel with a dragon bone hilt. King Robert Baratheon won the dagger during a tourney bet, and later took it with him to Winterfell. Supposedly, Prince Joffrey hired a Catspaw assassin to take the blade and mercy kill the comatose Bran Stark, although the Catspaw fails. When Catelyn Stark meets Baelish in King's Landing, he pretends to have lost the dagger to Tyrion Lannister instead of Robert, leading to Tyrion's capture and the first stages of what would become the War of the Five Kings. Currently, Littlefinger owns the dagger, so it's probably somewhere in the Vale. We don't know of any Valyrian steel in the Stormlands or Dorne, so finally we turn to Essos. The Lyseni noble Moredo Rogaire wielded the Valyrian longsword Truth when he came to King's Landing with his sister, Lara Rogaire, the wife of young Prince Viserys. House Rogaire boasted in its employ a 7-foot warrior named Sandok the Shadow, who wielded a curved Valyrian sword with a dragon bone hilt. Centuries later, a sellsword serving the Brave Companions, a Dothraki named Zollo, uses a Valyrian steel arak to cut off Sir Jaime Lannister's hand. So there we have it, every single known Valyrian steel item and weapon. Special thanks goes out to my patron and resident sword expert Boombler, who helped me design the weapons in this video. If you're interested in joining the Patreon for Discord access, exclusive videos, art commissions and more, feel free to check out the link in the description. We've also got a merchandise store with t-shirts, hoodies and mugs. What more do you need in life? Now, the Arryns don't have a Valyrian steel sword for some reason, but you can learn about the animated history of House Arryn in this video. Like, subscribe and hit the bell if you enjoyed. Special thanks to my patrons, in particular Alex, Andre, Caden, Colshot, Devcole, Morphy and Loopsie. See you next time.